I was, of course, shy and also afraid when I published my past as a sex worker. To be honest, working as a sex worker is not that exciting. It's not. But I've wrote a book about it because what I learned about society is exciting. Not what I learned about sex. Woo! No, not exciting. But what I learned about society, what I learned about men, what I learned about women, that is exciting. So I've wrote a book about that at the end of 2017 and published it. And during the writing process, I was like, I will be killed for this book. Like, nobody is allowed to talk about taboos in that way. I will be killed for that. And I was somehow at peace. I was like, well, I had my decades, it's okay, somebody will kill me. But I didn't doubt that somebody would kill me for this book. So that was how deep the cultural conditioning of shut up around the taboo, like how deep that was rooted in my nervous system. It felt like reality that I would be killed for that. And woohoo, I'm still alive, but I didn't know to some extent. And then I published this book, and then I was invited to talk shows and interviews, etc. And then so many men and so many women and so many other sexes said, thank you. I never stepped into sex work, not as a sex worker, not as a client, not as a pimp, whatever. But what you write about society is so deeply healing. And I understand for the first time in my life myself in a way that I can look into the mirror and love what I see. So, Sophia, this is something that pushes our inner power into visibility even more than the own suffering. That what you can give to the world is what matters to others. So we are so busy, like, for example, woman and entrepreneur and money and healing my money mindset. It's so much individual blah, blah. And it's great because if you are individually suffering, you are on the path because you want to stop suffering. So you are going for it. However, you are faster going for it if it's not your private stuff. If it's not your private healing, like my individual money mindset should heal. Fuck the hell with my individual money mindset. I can work with that in 20 years. But for now, people need it. Other people need it. Thousands of women need it. Thousands of men need healing around money. And thousands of other sexes as well. So there is something of, is the biggest booster for our process or our showing up in this world or our jumping into the own business, is it that I feel ready for that? Does it have to be always about myself? And I think no. We are conditioned to believe that we are egoistic and believe in a belief or that we only take care for ourselves. But the deeper I take serious the term of taking care for myself, like the deeper I'm really egoistic, the deeper I long for contributing to something bigger than me. The bigger I'm somebody who's really giving and generating energy from giving. And I'm not talking about this female shadow of, caretaking for everybody else. I'm talking about the end of female exhaustion on the global level. I'm talking about the end of women being burnt out. Because when they are nourished, when they nourish themselves, they are, wow, what they have to give, it will change the world overnight. Because they take themselves serious. Because they are egoistic in a real term. Yeah, so just basically, I do not know if that was clear enough, my awakening around the power that everybody of us has in showing up in visibility to people in the internet or in another way, that came from the response to the book. So my milestones in my work has been a lot around listening to the resonance instead of knowing my path. To be honest, I do not know my path. I just know that I land again and again at the stream of the highest energy. And that is by me throwing something out into the outer world and listening to the response. And my life is full of catastrophes because the response was a catastrophe. But I learned to change direction. And I learned to waste at least less and less energy into loops or dead ends. So another practice tool, basic tool in my work is shaking. It's not because I was like, ladies, shaking is cool, but it was by a woman saying, shaking is the biggest cure for every kind of stress that I had in my life. And I learned it in your group, Ilan. So she was the one who said, this is the cure. And I was listening and saying, that's wise, because every animal shakes that had some kind of stress. Let's shake, ladies. And we didn't stop shaking since then. And the last thing amongst the taboo has so much power for what I'm working with. Wounding as well. I started working consciously, like on purpose, only where I am wounded myself. I stopped chasing for, I was always so beautiful, so let's talk about beauty. Quite the opposite. I want to talk about ugliness. I want to talk about trauma. I want to talk about disaster, about death, about abortion. I want to talk about wounds, because wounds have our power. And at the end of the day, we are not longing for glamour. We are longing for power because we have lost it due to conditioning.
Yay! Thank you so much for being into full aliveness, no matter what. This truly means a lot to me. I have dedicated my whole work for over a decade to this topic. How do we become fully alive? And I have put everything that I found together in the so-called online pool, and you will find the link in the description below, and you are super welcome to check it out.